Welcome to the American Legion Show. Welcome to Kevin White Show, whatever you want to call it. Tonight our guest is Randall Hayes, but before we go there, I'd like to let everybody know, if you haven't seen it or yet, that our new book is out from Brownie Fox Publishing. I'm going to present what it looks like. Share the screen. So we'll go here. All right, this is the new book. It is called Brody Loses Weight. Fascinating book, learning, take care of your dog or pets. And it is now on Amazon and Ingram Spark and other places. Never know where it's going to end up. Anyway, that's all that. Also, speaking of, I have a great event I'm going to next month, and it is called, I'll present that one too. Here we go. Let's share the screen. This one here. All right, here we go. Let's set it up now. So what's going on here? Okay, here we go. Present. Yes, it's blocking the window. But what it is from the RNC. I have been invited for the Black Republican Trailblazer reception. A lot of congressmen will be there. It's going to be fantastic. It's in Washington, D.C., USA. Next month, 13th, I'll fly out there and I'll enjoy the people and meet some friends. And it's an honor, but the second year in a row I've been invited. Ronnie McDaniels, I think she's going to be there. And Burgess Owens and, well, anyways, it's a lot of congressmen. They're going to be there, and we're going to talk and give out awards. And don't know if I'm getting anywhere. I don't know how I got on here. I don't know how I got invited to this. Seriously. Anyway, that's going to be very interesting. And welcome, Blog Talk Radio, fans and everything. It's amazing the support we get here at PNR, Patriot Nation Radio, Public Radio. So we're going to go dive a little deeper into that. So we see in the episode section and the studio section and everything else of Blog Talk Radio, we can see lots of people that have who are like they're fans and they watch every show or they listen a lot. So appreciate that. And recognize a lot of the people on our dashboard that show up. We have lots of followers and from all over the world. I haven't done the stats lately, but yes, this is fantastic. So shout out to Chrissy HH, Michael Johns, Dina Tusaka, Chris Caudill, 2209, Melissa 88, Shamrock Radio. So we got institutions, whatever you want to call it. Conservative Nation Radio, CNR. So I have not had time to listen to their programs, Lucid Libertarian, all kinds of things. So these are interesting things that we see. Melanie Baker, 930, WCC producer. Yeah, it's a producer there. We could use another producer on this network so we can handle phone calls. Hey, there's KCMK1, that's me. I liked it too. So and you can follow them and all that. So I like to follow back. They've been there for a while, since the beginning. A lot of them have. Lay Lamson, awesome. Debbie Loomis, welcome to the program. David Lozier. And this ended up actually started as a radio only, and now it is radio and video. So without any further ado, I'm going to invite to the stage Mr. Rebel Hayes. Mr. Hayes, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Arthur?
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that I tap danced all that time. Hey, thank you for coming on. And I know you have some interesting things to talk about tonight. First of all, you can probably try to tell people where you're from, because you haven't been on for a while, and what you're about.
Well, thanks for having me on. Try to adjust my settings here so I can hear you.
Can you hear me? I'm going to turn this down.
Okay.
All right.
There you go. Yep. Now I hear you. Yeah, you're there.
All right. So good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you. Yeah.
It's been a while. I know you've been busy. I've been busy. We all have been busy.
Yeah.
So I was just plugging the new book that we published, Brody Loses Weight, and then my opportunity to go to DC for the Republican Black Trailblazers. It's a minority thing. Washington DC. It's going to be at Howard University, Howard Theater. So very historic. So catching a quick flight down there, over there and back. But it's privilege. It's like my second year. It's my second year I've been invited. I didn't go last year, short notice, but I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be
Congratulations on your book. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Yeah. Thanks.
That's a great news.
Huh?
I say that's something to master there right away, I mean,
well,
it takes a lot out of you to write a book sometimes.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. And so what have you been doing?
Well, I've been trying to get further my education on this AI and artificial intelligence, and
sounds like AI took over.
Yeah, pretty much. It's in your life.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot going on. I mean, being self-employed, it's essential to know, because I have a number of websites that are out there. I have a number of products that are being sold, and if you don't stay up with that kind of stuff, then you're going to get left. Because number one, AI is projected to take over close to 250 million jobs. So
yeah, I've heard that. Yeah,
and I mean, it's gonna hit people like a storm. They're not even. I mean, you look at some of the companies that are already letting people go, and then you look at some other companies, and that are like putting billions of dollars into AI, and they're not doing it just to lose money. You know what I mean? Whether people like it or not, or I know a lot of people, I've been reading a lot of forums and stuff that say that, AI is a thing of its future, and, it's coming, but they're not that far. And, it'll be like 10, 20 years. It's not going to be 10 or 20 years. It's right around the corner, It's like Elon Musk is already into experimental phases of self-driving trucks. So,
yes.
I mean, Apple. I mean, Apple is one of the largest funders of AI. They're coming out with their own AI system. Microsoft's right behind. Meta, they're right behind, which is Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, it's climbing the wall, and if there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are not going to be ready for it, they're going to fail. That's just the bottom line, because there are people that are studying and getting ready for it and converting over to it, and they're going to be the ones that end up, getting that spot. So, yeah, it's a growing type of mechanism. I mean, if you're not learning every day to make yourself in the business any better, then it's probably best to go get a job. It's just the way I think about it anyway.
Yeah, so that's your sole source, is that correct? That's your source of income with the things that you sell online and all that stuff you do.
Yeah.
But I know you do other things physically. So a lot of people like me, I have a business on the side, and then when I retire, I'm gonna try to make it full time
Yeah.
doing that with my
Yeah.
retirement income. So I understand what you're saying because there's a lot of. I'm not really a fan of AI yet. I think it's still in development.
Yeah.
I know it does a lot. You can write your law briefs with it and all that. But the thing is, well, there's some jobs that won't be able to take over physical things, but it could probably make things better, faster, more efficient. And but I don't know. I don't know about AI.
Well, it's they're a little further than I think than a lot of people gather. Like say for right now, this very moment, I can take your image
Yeah.
and put a script to it and put your image and that script in an AI artificial intelligent program. And you would actually be looking as though you had said you're making a speech, So
Right.
basically for a lot of people, and then they have factories already with robots that have no people in them at all. There's none. There's not one person in the factory. There's at the front, you'll find, I think it was maybe 2 people that keep an eye on all the manufacturing process.
Interesting.
And that's it. I mean, and where that would have a normal, say a normal crew of probably 70 employees, there's 2 that you don't have to pay insurance on, 2 that you don't have to pay.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
That's the whole thing that they're looking for. And that's what IBM, or not IBM, but Apple and all these other companies are looking for. They're looking to create that kind of stuff so that people will invest in it.
Until they break.
Yeah, until they.
So the reliability.
AI kind of fixes itself. They can write code. They can generate. It's something to really. It's something to really take serious. I mean, a lot of billions of dollars are being poured into it, and there are some really big names in it. And
I'm sure
there are some good things to invest in as well. Like they've got these medical companies that are investing in a lot of this AI, and I got a couple of tips on a few of them the other day to invest in because of the way their stocks are going to be generated and how they're going to be going forward.
Yeah, sounds good.
A lot of it's kind of scary at the same time.
Yes, right.
Because I don't really think that we're ready for it, but the more you know about it, the more you'll be prepared. That's all I can think of. So.
Yeah, so you probably know, like I do, some people who are not attorneys are doing their paperwork and their court filings through AI, which I think is a really good. It's a great, or the writing books with AI.
Mm-hmm. But paralegals are going to probably be a thing of the past with AI. I don't know. I don't know how the attorneys are going to, handle it, so to speak.
Get rid of your attorney too.
Yeah. But the thing is, to write a case right now is nothing. To handle a case, I could get a couple of applications that would handle it for me, and I could go out and sue an attorney or, sue a law firm or whatever they did to damage me, I could take care of. But that's a very good point that you came up with, because
so you think it'll be man versus machine in those kind of cases. So
I think basically it will be the knowledge of man versus.
There you go. It's still the knowledge of man, right?
Yeah.
The AI straightens it out. Okay.
It's the knowledge of man that really gets it in trouble, because now you've got, like, you can say, like, you have 6 people that go in and write this one book. Okay. With AI, you only need one.
Right.
And it can gather the information from hundreds of different people. And, there's not going to be an author there that says, this person contributed and this, all that.
Yeah. Right.
But it just depends. It's like for me, a lot of the online marketing it's essential to use AI. It's because it's so much easier. It's even the videos you can do. You can sit and write a script, and just it's like you can go to this website right now, and say 1 or 2 minutes worth of words, and take a script from Google that somebody sounds good at. Like, I don't know. I mean, if you wanted to be a motivational speaker, you could become a motivational speaker, because you could go, you take the transcripts from that video and bring them into a AI processor, and you can alter the transcripts, not to like copy it or anything.
Yes. Right.
And you can alter that. Yeah, and then you could send it back over to this AI application with your video, with our faces on there. Yeah. And it would look like we were saying it, and we were doing it, and we were talking about it, and we were knowledgeable of it. Whoa. And so that then make us like a motivational speaker. You know what I mean? Yeah. So a product, they call them product launchers or whatever you want to call it, but it's just amazing what the time that is cut to not have to do a bunch of work in writing and researching and all of that, and word development. And you could just take this and just throw this stuff together like that, and it's done. And literally, you could do a half-hour motivational speech or a sales pitch, and hardly have 5 minutes in it, hardly have 10 minutes in it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah. So I mean, because the way it used to be, you'd have to do all the research yourself. You'd have to write the speech yourself. You had to do all that kind of stuff. And then, so now you can do it in a form of AI that you can do 10 of them a day instead of one. So you can actually market 10 different products a day instead of one. Just think of the speed there, that you could catch up with. Like I've got literally hundreds of products, right? Yeah. And for me to set and singly go through each one of them and pretty much put a pitch out there for him, it's just ridiculous. It's just not going to happen. But if I do it through AI, I can do it in a day. All of them. Wow. And be done. Just be done.
Amazing.
It's crazy, and that's kind of the way that. It's the same with web development. It's the same with SEO. It's the same, with an attorney's job, a paralegal's job.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's just reaching out into every little. It's getting its tentacles into everything, And a lot of the times, you don't even know when you call a company whether it's AI or whether it's a real person. A lot of the times when you take a marketing phone call, you don't know whether it's AI or it's a person, because an actual AI, a good one, can sound real on a telephone. So there goes all your NIPSCO gas operators. There goes all your cable operators that would answer the phone. I mean, they have just got it to where they don't need any of that. They don't need to hire people from India anymore. They don't need to hire people from Australia. Yeah, or the Philippines. Yeah, or the Philippines.
They mimic the Filipinos.
Yeah. I mean, AI is going to take it over. It's going to be gone.
Well, it'll be a whole lot. Yeah, I can see the big giant savings there for a lot of applications.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we going to do? But listen, there's some jobs you cannot replace with AI.
Right.
Robots. Right. But a friend of mine who has a show out in California, Rory Sauter, says AI will take over all the jobs. Like, it's impossible. You can't that's not going to work for physical jobs
Mhm.
unless you have the machinery. You're not going to fix airplanes with AI. You're not going to
No.
get into other things. So,
No,
yeah,
but when they start developing parts for airplanes that have AI built into them, then they
Yeah.
will repair themselves.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No,
They're doing it with cars already. I
airplanes.
mean,
are
unless
different.
it's something major. If it's something that is dealt with, it will send a technician to it. Like say, if you have a furnace and your furnace goes bad and you don't know what it is, well, they're building motherboards for that particular reason to figure out what it is, send it
Right.
off to a technician, and the technician, before he even gets to the house, he knows what to do. So it's
Right.
going to speed everything up.
You know, they have those same things for airplanes, and they're not always true. They have logic that tells you this, that, and the other, and then you have to be smart, wiser than the parts. That's my life for 30 years. You have to be wiser than the machine because it's not. It always tells you something that it assumes, but this may be different because the interfaces are getting digital, are more digital now than ever.
Yeah,
So who knows? It could work out. It could help with troubleshooting,
it could.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't see. And then how is it going to change something? It's not. You know what I'm saying?
In certain labor areas it won't, but in
Yeah.
manufacturing, the building of a plane, it can build a plane. I see that.
I hope it helps out Boeing with the 9.
Boeing, yeah, it can correct a lot of their errors.
So yeah, it's just that the door missing, and I thought, wow, how did that happen? So those are all human errors, but that's something you have to check visually, kind of thing. There's a lot of things you got to check with your eyesight. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of scary. Imagine being on that flight and that door opens. I know you're okay. Nobody's going to die or anything. They're going to land the plane, but it's still scary all the same.
Yeah.
Lots
I
of
mean,
pressure.
250 million jobs is a lot of jobs,
Yes.
and that would range anywhere from our department stores to Walmart to,
Yes.
a lot of the fast food restaurants.
The shake machine. The shake machine. Come on now. That people operating because I'm thinking most of the people don't even want to operate the shake machine or the ice cream machine.
They break down all the time. Every time I order a shake, it's broke.
Reliability issues. Right. That is funny. But you got to have like Waffle House has to have the lady that says, "Hey, honey, what do you want to order?" kind of thing. You got to have the waitresses, all that stuff.
Yeah, you do.
But you don't
It's
have
nice
to.
to. I mean, I already walk into Steak and Shake, right? And it got these kiosks, like where you could take your order.
Yeah.
The first time I noticed that, it was like so, like unfriendly. I want to say, there's another feeling for it, but it's so unfriendly when you go there. It's like, okay, you see these people in the back. There's nobody at the register up front or nothing like that.
Very sterile. Yeah.
And so you wonder if they even got the order, because it's like there's nobody to confirm anything. And
yes,
I'm sitting there scratching my head wondering, well, how do you know it's my order? It's
so back in 2018, we went to Paris and all the McDonald's, there's no people. You can see there's people in the back doing stuff, but you order everything on the kiosk. This is 2018.
Yeah.
So they're ahead of the game. But I mean, nothing, Paris, France.
Paris, France. Okay.
So they've been ahead of this for a little bit. And everything worked out great, just like you said. You're thinking they're going to make a mistake somewhere, but actually it came out perfect. At the expense of jobs, right? Or people, there's nobody behind the counter. So, but you can get used to that. It's just like seeing a car driving around, with no driver.
Yeah.
Or
if you see one with somebody sleeping in the driver's seat. That's
yes.
around,
and they're so comfortable. Yeah. They're so comfortable. They're so trusting. Yeah. But you see, they've had accidents in the past. So, that's why I'm kind of skeptical a little bit because we've seen accidents like that with Teslas and something to do with the software or whatever it was. Lots of accidents. But I guess that's true. But I'm sure they'll iron those out, and it'll be back to normal. I think it'll be fine
Yeah.
someday. The technology is getting there.
It's getting there very, very fast too.
Yeah.
It's kind of a scary fast. Because I think the investors just want to profit from it. It's just like any other business. You know, they
Yes.
get to a point where they just want to make money. Just do it and get it there. I don't care how you get it there. Just do it. I expect to
Right.
see it tomorrow. You know, it's one of those attitudes that, you know, some of the investors have that it just makes me sick. You know, it's like, hey, no, it's not just do it and get it over with. You know, you have to take your time at that kind of stuff. You know.
So that reminds me. You reminded me of Amazon. Amazon's a great model.
Yeah.
Amazon stages things close to you. Most popular things you can get in a day or two, even without Prime, you can do that.
Yeah.
And the time factor, they're figuring out, or they have figured out how to defeat that. I think that's fascinating. I
Mhm.
mean, they have a really good model of distribution. Plus, they own these cargo planes pretty much
Yeah. Yeah.
because the
I have a
yeah
few family members that work for Amazon, and Amazon is going to be uh, one of the major corporations that will let people go due to the AI that they can replace them with.
yes right
So, look at how many people they hire. Walmart's another one.
hmm
Costco's another one. I mean, you got very big major chains that are going to just let these people go. I mean, uh, you're not going to do the RV industry. You may do the components in AI, you know, build them in AI, but
yeah
when it comes to putting an RV together, running the
hmm
plumbing, doing the AC
yeah
conditioning, you know,
exactly. There you go.
it's not going to be that easy for AI to get in there and take that kind of job over, you know.
No,
So
I think rough assembly, like welding parts together, basic things. Yeah, I'm sure you can do that already.
yeah,
Manufacturing, especially in your area, I'm sure that
yeah.
happens all the
Well,
time.
they've got 3D printers now that print metal
Yes.
parts so that you can use them like right off of the block. You know, you just print the part out, it comes out in steel or some kind of an alloy that is compatible with what you need, and you can take it and use it.
Yeah,
You can call it a You can call it a prototype, but it's a real part. You know, you can go use it. So
they use those in the aircraft industry, which is a big solution to if it's approved, and I think that's great. Just
it is.
that's pretty awesome because sometimes it takes days to get a part in or something. You can have it right. You can just make it right there,
Yep.
certify it, put it on. Yeah, I like
That's
that. That's the speed and everything, and the
yeah.
ability to do that. We didn't have that for the longest time until recent.
Yeah.
That, that's
Yeah.
that's pretty slick. That's a slick
Yeah.
thing.
It is. I was thinking, they've got the 3D printers now that print very good thing. You know, I've been looking at them because I want to actually buy one,
Yeah,
and you know, for my industry anyway, because of the molds and patterns that I do, and some of the parts that I run and stuff of that nature. Um, I want to I want to get into that so that um, I can kind of lead that industry. You know,
yeah,
it's kind of like um, I was actually, I believe I can say this without doubt, the first to bring the composite um, parts for automobiles to the market.
really.
All right.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, nobody was doing that 5 years ago when I was doing it. You know.
Wow. It's nice.
So and now if I check, there is one other company that has started up that is doing that. So you know, it's like
Yeah.
I had no competition. I didn't really care. And even with this guy, I still don't care, you know,
Right.
because what's one person? You're going to have to know quite a bit to make that happen, and you're going to need, you know, some knowledge. You're going to there's a few things that you have to know to build molds and patterns for
Right.
the automobile industry, and then turn that into doing it out of composite material. You know, making your part out of composite material, and then installing the composite material because body men still call me for instruction. You know, it's like it's
Yeah.
not that hard. You know, because Then I had an adhesive that was primarily developed for that particular manufacturing process. So it's kind of it's interesting, and I'm actually thinking of making tutorial videos on how I did it, and letting everybody just know how it's done,
Yeah.
and and sharing that information. So because I believe that you know, regardless of what the information is, it's not some kind of a top secret issue. But if you help others to prosper, your life only will get better in turn.
Right.
That's just the way I believe. So there's real no hidden secrets. There's no hidden recipe. It's like
Right.
anybody could be doing what I'm doing and profiting from it, and living a decent life if they just
Yeah.
had the knowledge. You just had to help to do that, right? So that's an area that I'm looking towards going, because I'm getting to the age where I just want to slow down a little bit, and I don't want to,
Mhm.
I'd rather just give this information out, and see what happens with it, because I know that's one area that could really improve a lot of different areas. It's like um, building molds and patterns for composite parts for all kinds of different things, whether it's
Yeah.
injection, or open lay, or um, Kevlar, um, military vests, or there's just a number of different things you can go into.
Wow. Yes. Okay. You want to plug your company?
Huh?
You want
No,
to plug your company?
well, the one company, yeah, it's Never Rust.
Never Rust? Oh,
Never Rust, yeah.
okay.
Because the parts that the trademark that I used on that, um, it describes the actual parts, so um, there had to be limitations on the trademark. But
Right.
so right now, though, I could take that trademark and then roll it over, because now it's been out there for more than 5 years, and now it's an actual name. It's a known brand. So
Yeah. I like how
uh,
you do your trademarks. I like the history and the web pages you own and all.
yeah,
Yes.
it,
Fascinating. I have a
it's an experience. When
domains.
I first started out, I started out like, I don't know, 20 years ago. I started out with like this. I was doing affiliate marketing for Dish Network.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, right. Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Go ahead. I want to hear this
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. So I was doing affiliate marketing for Dish Network, right? They were sending me uh, customers in hopes that I was doing illegal activity so that they could get rid of me, because I was doing that well in sales, and I was off on my own. And now I didn't know about any of this, all right, until I had a phone call one day with a person that wanted to buy the website that I owned, because he was a Dish Network. I don't know. He sold Dish Network. He was a Dish
Yeah.
Network dealer, and he wanted the name Dish Network, and I had that. And it, and so I had made so much. I don't want to say money, but I made a good deal of money with them every month, and they came after me when they started getting rid of their online affiliates and stuff like that, because they
Yeah.
don't do that no more. That's like ancient history now. But when they
Yeah.
started to get rid of us, basically because they had what they considered enough affiliates or dealers or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
so they came after me. They said I had their lead trademark attorney called me up, and he told me, he said, Mr. Hayes. I said, who's this? He says, I'm the lead trademark attorney for Dish Network. Or it was called Echo Star or something, Echo something at that time. But he said, how would you like to turn over that name to us? I noticed you have a URL, and I
Oh,
was wondering, how would you like to turn over that name to us, and we can go ahead and take that. And I said, what are you talking about? Turn it over. I said, I bought the name. And he said,
right.
well, we don't care whether you bought it or not. He says,
Oh,
you're going to either turn it over to us, or we're going to take it. I said, "Well, yeah, just like that too." And it was, I mean, nothing candid. And so I looked, I was like, I thought about it for a second. I was like, okay, take it, because I'm not going to turn it over to you, you know? And then after the court session was over, we had 3 or 4 with the UDRP. It's called a world court system. All right. When you go to those type of
Yeah,
arguments,
that's weird.
it's a world system. So what they'll do is they'll suspend your URL through your register until the court has made its final decision. And so during that whole time, whether it takes a year or 6 months or a year and a half, your actual URL is in limbo. You can't even use it. So it's like, you got to figure out something else to do. Well, lucky for me, I had other sites that were going at the same time that could carry me through that. But what had happened was he told me that, and I, basically said, okay, take it from me. Then I guess you're a badass. Go ahead and take it. And so anyway, the end result, they had a 3-panel judge system on the panel. And I had no, every time I got a hold of a lawyer about this, the lawyers didn't seem like they were really that up to date on how to argue a case like that. They knew it was a intellectual property violation, but they didn't know how to actually go and defend something like that I had made money on. So
Right.
I had figured it out. I went ahead and figured it out myself through reading through, watching a few intellectual property, contract law, and things of that nature. So you got to kind of combine them together. And so what it ended up, I won the case. All right.
Mhm.
And I got to keep the name. But what they did is terminate my account for selling Dish Network. So that was cool. I mean, that was all right too, because then I just went over and I registered with a couple of other companies that would want to do business with me at that website anyway. So, like if you were DirecTV or you were HughesNet or you were something else, or even cable networks like Comcast or I could still sell that on that site because they weren't stopping me from doing anything, right? The only thing I couldn't do was put a Dish Network sale through. So that was fine. I went ahead and did that. And then after that, it was like, it lasted maybe 4 years after that. And I was fine with it. And I branched out to other things. And, finally I just let it go because it was like, there was the last thing I did was affiliate marketing on it. So where you could just take and put links to other sites on it and it would take you to DirecTV or it would take you somewhere like even Dish Network. I could put their links on that site and I wouldn't get paid through actual EchoStar, but I would get paid through another company that was paying, EchoStar was paying them. So it's just like, it didn't matter. I mean, it did cut the revenue down, but it just didn't like drop it off the face of the earth, So that's basically how I did. I argued the case. It took about, it probably took about 6 months, 6 to 8 months, I would say. And we argued and the 3-panel judge came back. Did I lose you? Are we on air? What happened? Hello?
We should be able to solve all the smart DNA that we're ever going to need. How long will this take?
Did we get lost?
We'll have it finished in less than an hour. Excellent. You're not going to hold this against me, are you? You're not going to hold this against me, are you? What did you see, Davey?
Not gonna laugh.
Stuff that was stolen from a genetic? Could be. What else did you see?
Keith Portman. He was there too.
I'm in the
He
show.
gave my mom a kiss.
I'm not in
But
the
he
show.
didn't mean it.
I don't know where I'm at.
I think it's time we had another talk with Keith Portman.
Okay.
Was I? Could you see
So
me? Was I up?
I you were. So what's going on is this area of the town, internet goes out in and out. That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened.
Okay.
So they've been
Yeah.
working on this thing for a year,
Yeah.
and you think it's fixed, and it's not. So yeah, I noticed I have two internet channels, and the one goes down, or the other one goes down. So we're back, I guess.
You know, I've noticed that about our internet service as well.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, it does. It goes down for like 5, maybe 10 minutes, and then it doesn't matter how many times I reboot the router or you know
Yeah.
shut the computer down and reboot and try to smack the router. It just it I've called them about it too, and they're like, well, there's intermediate. They blame it on the weather every time, but
Hey,
I
could you tell us talk about income tax?
huh
The
income
subject here.
tax.
Yeah, tell us about. Okay, yeah, I want to hear about this. This is fascinating.
Yeah. Well, uh, you saw a little bit about that today, I think.
Yes.
Um, and okay, your income taxes. And I send a lot of posts out and it's not marketing. It's just to get the way that people, feel about this particular issue. And
Mhm.
although I don't push it. Like, I think that people that are paying their income tax on their wages and salaries, if you're comfortable with doing that, then you should just keep doing it. But for those that, you know, think that they are in the wrong for getting it taken out of their check, they're they're right. It is wrong. And um, once there was an ad run in one paper, I think it was a long time ago, that it actually intrigued me to like get and start studying that kind of stuff. Actually, legally study it, and it all revolves around constitutional law and things like that. I wouldn't take a tax lawyer to me with court if I was being blamed for failure to pay income taxes. Okay, I wouldn't do that because number one, a tax lawyer is the wrong lawyer to take to court with you over that matter
Right.
because he is taught a specific set of lessons. All right, and those lessons are not necessarily actually true. I would take a well lubed constitutional lawyer to me with court, and that's where we would start. And I would also be like a standby to him, helping him with my case. That's how I would treat that kind of information. But yeah, uh, you know, regardless if there's Supreme Court case law that states that you are to pay taxes on your income, that does not rule over the Constitution of the United States. That is, it doesn't matter what Supreme Court law says. If it's not in line with the Constitution, then it's not a law. It's null and void. And a lot of the lawyers
Mhm.
seem to like want to bring up, case law on it, and that's not how you would treat a case like that. Because number one, there's certain definitions for United States. There are certain definitions for states. There's an IRS code book, which is not, and they want to refer to this code book, but then my question is, well, where's the authority from that? What gives that code book the authority to take taxes out of my income?
Right. Yeah.
All right, but they can't answer that question. Is there a law passed by Congress that states you can take those taxes? No, there isn't. There's no law passed by, it never has been. As far as Congress is
Fascinating.
concerned, it's voluntary. Okay,
That's fascinating.
it's
Yeah.
it's voluntary as far as Congress is concerned. It's voluntary, and I've heard a lot of different arguments over the matter. It's like I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not condoning it. If you want to pay your taxes, go ahead. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
But I pay mine. I pay a lot of them. you know, but I'm not gonna sit and argue with a court system that that takes case law. You know, we're supposed to have blind justice. This is not blind justice. You know, it's called looking back and seeing what that guy did
Yeah,
and bringing
right.
that
Yes.
guy's stuff forward and saying, okay, I'm going to use that. You know, and that's just not right at all. So, you know, you can think about it in many different ways. You know, my family is one. You know, they hated it like crazy when I sued attorneys because I'd
Yeah.
sue an attorney for coming after me for an unjust thing, which
Yeah.
was, and I sued 9 of them, and I sued probably 2 law firms at the same time. So, and I won every one of them. I didn't lose not one. And
So, do you think that one of your secrets to your success is they're taught a way that they don't understand? They really don't grasp the reality of it. Is that what you're thinking?
yeah, no, I think they mean well. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that they're probably some really smart individuals, but it's like when you try to argue something and they want to turn it into something else. They want to change the subject to something else.
Right.
You got to really stay on that subject because what they'll try to do is bring in different things and try to twist it to make it something that it's not, something else, some other subject matter that it's not. You know, it's like,
Right.
you're going to jail for tax evasion when I never evaded anything, the number one. And
Yeah.
number two, where does the authority? Okay, let's get back to that IRS book because
Okay.
they got a bunch of codes in that, right? There's this
Yeah.
IRS codes all over the place. But where does that code book get its authority?
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that's fine. You got a lot of, and the IRS is a corporation, right? They're a
Yes.
corporation just like any
yeah.
other company.
They
So
are.
let's say my corporation has a code book, and I'm going to tell you that, hey, you didn't pay me my money this week. I'm wondering why. Because in my code book, it says you see what I'm saying? It's like any corporation can have a code book, but
Yeah. It's like,
it has no authority though.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you can't go to the Constitution and say, okay, I get my authority like a police officer. My dad was a police officer for 34 years. All right. And somebody would ask him, where do you get your authority? And he'll say, you know, from the Commonwealth of Illinois or the Commonwealth, you know, the state of Tennessee, or, you know, that's where I get my authority. And in his sense, he was right, you know, because
Yeah.
they appointed him as a sheriff. Okay. And that's by the Constitution as well, you know, so it's kind of like the IRS is out there just trying to make something that isn't.
Yeah, you know, and I just talking to you, I think the same way. Okay, because you want to know what's behind the scenes, what's really behind the scenes to
Exactly.
figure this out. That's the way to go because
It
what's
is.
the basis? What's it based on?
Yeah.
Sometimes it has no standing. Like, okay, this is why a sovereign citizen can go and get their citizenship as a what is it, a national instead of, well, I can't remember what it is. They can get their
Instead of a
citizenship.
citizen. Yeah. You
Yeah,
can,
and never have to pay taxes.
yeah.
Because
Well,
yeah.
That's true. Except for DC.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in DC, they have their own little, you know, each state, a lot of people think of them as states, but it's not. Each country, you know, Florida's a country, Texas is a country.
DC is too.
DC is and it's not even a state, you know, it's in Washington,
Right. Yes.
but it's a District of Columbia, and it's like
Yeah.
got a 10-mile radius, you know, around it, and it's like,
I'll be
you know,
there.
yeah, just don't become a product of that, you know.
I'll stay off the Capitol grounds, so I'll be fine. No, that's fascinating. So how would you go about that? I mean, where and how would you do something like that? We're sending you, okay?
Well,
you're responsible.
It's kind of like, you know, if you tell your employer that you don't want to pay income taxes anymore, he's going to say, well, I can't do that,
Right.
you know. And there's a lot of things to take in consideration too, because you better be ready to quit your job, because you're not going to have an employer that's going to do that,
Right.
because then they'll send people into that employment firm if they stop paying, and then they'll have to have
Right.
lawyers, and just the normal entrepreneur, the normal business owner is not going to do that. So the only thing that you can do really is become self-employed and do not
Yes.
incorporate. If you incorporate, you put yourself in a certain jurisdiction where you can't even defend yourself. So, like, say if you incorporate a company, all right, you cannot go to court and represent that company, because then you would be in violation of practicing law or whatever without a license. That's what they call it. But in the other hand, if you do not, you see, they did that to the churches. They told the churches that they needed to incorporate. All right.
So wait a minute. Okay, is that the 501c3
Yeah.
or is that something different?
Well, the 501c3 is also, you're putting yourself into a jurisdiction,
Yes.
right, in which
Right.
you cannot represent without legal counsel. So
Wow.
by putting yourself into that, you're taking those chances, yes. But if you stay out of it and you're just Arthur, and you have a
Yeah.
business, you can
Yeah.
do DBA, doing business as.
Mhm.
Anybody can do that. Okay, I do business as Never Rust, or I do business as 7M, or I do
Wow.
business as, whatever.
See, I'm writing my notes here. I-
But as soon as you incorporate, then that's when the things start closing in on you. As far as the jurisdiction that you have to represent when they say that you've broken a law, you didn't send in your taxes for this year or taxes for that year, then it gets into the. That's why lawyers, they're ready to incorporate you. They're ready to do that. And
Wow.
it's not the smartest thing to do. No, at least until you get comfortable with what as you're growing, because
Yeah.
it can kill you. It can kill a person right away. And I've watched it, man. It's like it's like my cousin right now. I think he's starting his own business, and he's telling me these numbers, and I'm thinking, wow, really? That much? Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna sit and try to tell him different.
Yeah.
It's different when somebody asks me, but I'm not going to come out and just say, okay, hey, why don't you try this? Because it's going to take them out of this programmed, what they've learned. Okay. Like you say, you go to school, right? And you learn that, I don't know, Christopher Columbus sailed around the world, right?
Yeah.
And we figured out that the world wasn't flat anymore. I mean, he didn't fall off the edge anyway.
Right.
So, but it's not exactly true,
He didn't.
No.
He didn't sail around the world.
And but we're taught that, and I'm using that as a scenario to what we're
Yes.
taught. So, like in
Yeah.
the colleges and things like that, we're taught things that are just not true. And you go out and try to use them in the real world. It's like it's totally different. It's
Yeah.
not.
They always encourage you to be incorporated. They always lead you down that path.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, the main reason they use is you want to protect your belongings.
Yeah. And it's the opposite.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah. You want to protect yourself, but you want to also know that you don't need that much protection.
Yeah.
In
I
order
always
to
wondered
protect
what
yourself.
from. What are you protecting yourself from?
In case somebody slips on your door and breaks their head, and then they got a lawsuit. I don't know. I really don't know, because then there's other things that protect you there too.
Yeah, right.
Just simply
Yeah.
have insurance. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. There you go. There's another one, insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what really gets me, because you're talking about businesses and money and structure. And what really gets me, I wrote a piece about the TSA. Let's call it the TSA sham.
Yeah. And
So
the TSA is not.
it's not what you think it is.
It's not.
So the sham goes like this: you pay $80 some, and you'll be able to walk on the plane. Or you go through the security. You'll bypass things on security, Well, I'm here to tell you, I work, for the government as a government contractor. There are people who get their security clearances all the way to the top, and they're still spies. It's not even about that. You don't trust people forever just because. And it's just a little questionnaire.
Yeah.
So as far as businesses go, I'm just curious how, like, the bureaus we have, everything has a bureau attached to it, or let's see, your state, your driver's license is only good for so long. Your sticker on your car and your license is only good for a year. Why? This is the money maker
Yeah.
of a lifetime. Then they have these staffs, and they have the tax people, and then they have the tax organization, and the monster. Everything's a monster, but they can't vote in 1 day. They can't tally votes in 1 day. Why do this day?
Oh, I think they can tally them. I just don't think they want to.
Wait until you get to a certain point, because everybody's controlled. There's one side that controls all that. So once you get, now we're ahead for it by 10. Okay, let's stop. That's it. But you know how that goes. But everything's a bureaucracy. There's a federal agency for almost everything.
There is.
There's to control
Mhm.
transportation. Okay, the other thing, I wrote one about why do we have an FAA? What's the FAA for? Because the rules are so draconian for the airlines and for the pilots, and they decide what's good for you. It's not always the best thing.
Didn't they decide that you should have the shot if you were going to fly?
Yes.
Wasn't
Yes.
that a matter of the FAA?
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't that like that was totally wrong.
Yeah, that was for mostly, or you had to be tested. They changed it to you had to be tested. But if you go overseas or something like that, yeah, I don't like that part of it. There's no freedom there when the government takes over.
I think pilots have to be take a
They have
physical
to,
every
yes.
once a year or once every 6 months, don't they?
Yes, they have to comply with that.
Yeah.
But it's just like so much intrusion. Did you know that TSA inspects aircraft now in hangars? Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
I lived it when I worked for American. They would show up. It's like, what are those guys doing here? They bring dogs and stuff. It's like, what happened? So, and then you see all the people that are in. I don't know if you fly out of Detroit or not.
I have before.
The sheer number of people they have for the TSA for the lines
Mhm.
blows my mind, because I remember I worked in the one in Columbus. I did it in college, but we were private,
Mhm.
and we only had like 4 or 5 people. I go to the Dayton airport. There's got to be at least 15 people there. Why? And they say they're shorthanded. I'm like, what is going on here? And they look like they have like Albanian Air Force suits on or uniforms. And it's just weird. They've grown this since 9/11. They've grown this giant bureaucracy, dictatorship in some cases. They have attitude.
Yeah. And everything under the tune of peace and safety. We want to keep you safe.
And then when the people with the pre-check go through, oh no, don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. Don't take your shoes off. The perfect time. So my conclusion of that article I had published said, okay, this is funny. Oh my goodness. If you take here's the way you get through if you had to, and people know this. The people who work on the ramp and the people who work in the airport, they are paid low wages. They don't go through TSA. They don't go through a check. They have this, like when I work for the airlines, you just have this badge you go through. You're in the airport. It's just a door and a badge. Imagine the inside job you could do there.
Yeah.
Nobody checks anything you do. So if you
So,
want
yeah,
something to happen, yeah.
Their theory about safety just got blown out the window.
Yes. All it takes. Remember that guy that took the plane off and he flew somewhere and he crashed it? That could happen. That's a real thing. That could happen. So,
It's crazy.
but we don't know who's on the plane, who gets on it. I could buy, if I was somebody who had ideas, I would get pre-check. So less scrutiny. Just saying. And even the people who developed it are saying at the beginning, this is not going to work. This is a bad idea. Then there's a point where everybody's going to have pre-check. Then the people on the other lines are going to be shorter. That's been spoken about. It's like, it makes sense. It's going to eventually turn that way because more and more people are getting it. They're advertising it like this is the greatest thing in the world. I don't care. I just want to get on the plane. When I get there on time, it's not going to be a problem, right?
Right.
Anyway, just my little rant because it's the government getting involved with everything you do. So against the government.
Well,
Just
they
saying
don't
this-
want you to, yeah, they don't want you to do anything in secret. That's, the financial systems are just insane. If you go to take your
Yeah.
money out of the bank, if you take too much, they're going to ask you what it's for.
Yes.
It's none of their damn business what it's for. It's your money. You earned it. You know what I mean?
I had that happen before. What are you planning on using it for?
Yeah. Oh, I think I want to buy a car. Is that okay?
No, that's
And their comeback would be, well, we have to ask. It's a federal guideline that we have to meet.
And you're bankrupting our bank because we're in serious trouble with. Yeah. Someday it's going to happen. Yeah.
It will happen soon. Yeah. There's a lot of banks that are closing. There's a lot of banks that will be closing. There's a lot of people that have a lot of money in the banks that are just going to be lost.
Yeah. I think what was it? I can't remember the bank that closed last year, and if you had 700,000 or anything over 25,000 or 250,000, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Then you were out of luck. So you're only insured, and they're telling you this is only insured to this much, and you will not get anything past that. But it's your money. But that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
They've got to say
actually,
solvent.
And actually, if you actually go to court and you read some Supreme Court law, you're not the owner of that account. You're only the holder of that account. The holder does not own what's in that account. And then if we want to even go a step further, you can actually look at when you get $1 back and it's physical and you read on it. It says it's a, what does it say on there? It's a federal certificate. I forget the actual, but
I saw that.
The government made that, okay? Their name is on it. I just can't remember exactly the words they use that describe the ownership of that money. The only thing that you're doing is holding it, okay?
Is that a certificate of deposit, by the way?
You're holding it for trade. That's it.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
but the government made that with their printing press. They own that.
Wow.
And they can recall that at any time they want. So you don't actually own the money in your pocket or your bank account. You are just the holder.
Yeah, that's their money.
Yeah, and that's the Supreme Court. They ruled on that, and it's been so many years back that I can't remember the actual language that they use. So, but I can describe it that way because they made it. They bought it. They purchased the paper and the ink, and they printed it. And now they're just allowing you to hold it for trade. That's it. So that if you think you own that money and it's in your bank account, that's why they can come in and take it out. They can just come in and take it out.
And that's what they did. That makes a lot of sense with FTX.
Exactly. I mean, and people are shocked when it happens because they say, that's my money. No, it's not. So it's not your money.
Yeah, this is why all these billionaires and these athletes that have money into it. This is why people go back to work where they try to get more gigs because they don't play around at that level. They're never going to get that. I can't remember what $600 million. They're never getting it back ever again. But you know what? How much money do you need? How much money is necessary?
Well,
for
the
some
smartest thing.
there,
I think, the smartest thing to do would be to go into, precious metals and take possession of them. Take possession of them.
I agree. Mhm.
And because it's never gonna, they can say that you can't use it for currency, and they can say this about it and say that about it, but when it comes down to it,
Yes,
it's currency.
it is.
You can trade it just like any other, just like that piece of paper. You can trade it just like that. So
I'm waiting for silver to explode back to where it's
Yeah.
higher than gold. That's where it's supposed to be.
I
It's more
know.
valuable than gold.
Yeah, I know. It stays at about 42 times less than gold. Am I right
Yes.
about that?
Right.
Yeah, 42
Yep.
times less than gold. So it stays about that area, but it's supposed to go up and be more valuable than gold.
It's always been more valuable. It's just like if you read the Bible, it says silver and gold. Silver is first because silver is, you can put anything in a silver vessel and to keep the poison away. But the gold is shiny and it's gold. That's all it is. And it's heavy. It's a precious metal. It is.
Yeah.
But silver is superior to gold. And a lot of people don't know that. But it's all about gold, diamonds, or gold and diamonds and rings. Diamonds are dirt cheap. The story behind that, right? They're everywhere, so they're plentiful.
Yeah.
They're like they're really neat little rocks.
I mean, rocks, yeah, you can invest in, and but you're not going to like be able to spend them like you will silver and gold. Even
Yes,
copper,
exactly.
copper is coming a long way.
Yeah.
I've noticed that they're selling copper a lot now too.
Wow.
And yeah, and so it's going to be, I mean, as long as you take that paper money, it's really not worth anything that you
Yes.
don't own anyway. You can put it into something that you own, like gold or silver.
Yes, right. And I've done that in the past. I like the silver market for right now because the gold is overinflated. So I think it's a smart idea. I agree with you because when it comes down to it, you got the coins.
Yeah,
and
you got the coins or you got the bars. My wife and I, we purchase silver at least 2 or 3 times a year, as much as possible. And we get out of the what's called legal tender,
Yes.
and we get into some actual metal. And guess what? I can sell that metal for just as much as I bought it for. So
Right. Yeah, I think it's a great investment.
it is.
I think it's there's so many things you can do because like you said, things are getting worse. I mean, they're pumping up the markets and they're inflating and things aren't real. After all those percentage interest rates went up last year or the last couple of years, there is no way. There's no way.
Unbelievable, isn't it? The
Yes.
percentage rates, it's gone stupid. It just went completely stupid.
Yeah. So there's a consequence for that.
Yeah.
And we have an attorney making those decisions at the Fed who has no idea what he's doing. It's the thing. And it's not about the economy. It's not about, you can't do anything with the economy with that. Just go up higher and higher. You're just making things worse.
Yeah, they just print more money anyway. I mean, then they give it away to other countries. I mean, what are you giving it away to other countries for?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. It's just like, this is total insanity. Then you got the border open, you got people coming through. So I had my guest last week, Anthony Black, BLAQ, was talking about how crazy it is in New York City right now. I don't know if it's like that in your area.
I live in a rural area. I kind of got out of that. So it's like, I grew up in Chicago, but
they're having a bad time.
Yeah, I wouldn't raise a child in Chicago. Just put it that way.
So they're taking the migrants into other people's neighborhoods, and people are fighting against it. And I'm glad they are, but the mayors don't care. They're getting paid off. So New York City, oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Every time I actually feel sorry for a lot of the New York City people that are, every time I see a video of somebody in New York and there's somebody that's interviewing, how is it in New York? It's just a bad story. Whether it's the Bronx or anywhere else inside, Harlem or anywhere in New York, it doesn't matter.
So much crime there, and
it's much worse than it used to be.
Oh yeah, it is. These days, the kids are getting lice in their hair. Where's that coming from? It's coming from the migrants.
Yeah.
Things that they haven't seen before. and all the kids in this one school got it because you know how it is, and it's just a mess.
Yeah,
So,
it turns goes from bad to worse.
yes, right, it sure does. Something's got to be done, and I hope they. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. So they come from 140 different countries. I heard that today.
Yeah.
Down at the border, they're coming from all over the world.
Yeah, and America, or not America, well, America, but the federal government is fueling it.
Yes.
They're fueling the migrants to come over. Now, I don't care about, I live next to a lot of people, basically a few that have came over legally,
Yeah.
have waited their time and filled out and did the necessary steps that they needed to take citizenship here in the United States. No, that's fine. That's what we're here. That's what it's all about. But then when you take and do some of the things that the Biden administration is doing, it just kind of it belittles the people that came over the right way. You know what I mean? It's like
Exactly.
why should they have had to wait then if they're just going to just barge in and take over, get free plane trips, cell phones. They got a lot of
Yeah, I
stuff in the
know.
government that's
Yeah,
free.
it's
And
bad.
it's not free because the taxpayers are paying for it.
Yeah.
Whether they want to believe that or not, I mean, that's you can think that you're paying for the roads, you can think that you're paying for the streets
Right.
to be improved, but none of that's doing. I mean, none of
That's
that's
an
going.
ongoing project, the roads.
There's a difference between a county tax and a state tax and a federal tax. All right. And your federal
Right.
money that you're paying the most out of is not going to your county or your state or your roads or anything like that, or your
Right.
highways even. Okay. It's not where it's going, I mean, but people seem to, grasp that and hang on to it as though, well, that's why I'm paying, so that we can have better bridges and better roads.
Yeah, right. So now they're talking about paying people to keep the migrants for the second time in their houses. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
No.
they got that. They've got that hotel in New York that's
Yes.
housing, I think 5,000 or 6,000 illegals. Every time there's
Yeah.
a bus ride in there, they go into this hotel or and I watched a video on that, I think out of YouTube, and some people was doing a report, not a documentary. It was really bad.
Yeah, they pretty much one of them is going to be condemned
Yeah,
when they close it down. Yeah, it's really sad.
it's sad. Yeah. And then they were throwing food away because they didn't like the American food. It's like, I was like, okay, this makes absolutely no sense, but they got it for free and then they're throwing it away.
Yeah. You got to be grateful, and you're in another culture. You asked to be here, you wanted to be here, so you got to deal with it. If I decide to go to Mexico, I'll learn how to eat the food, right, or whatever country. I'm going to respect that.
I watched a guy that made a video the other day from Chicago, Illinois. He was at the O'Hare Airport, and at the O'Hare Airport right now, they've got hundreds of migrants that are there that are being bused there, and they're behind curtains. Okay, they're just
Wow.
behind curtains so that that's where they're staying as far as for a place
No
to
way.
stay. Sleep. Yes, and the one guy came out to do an interview with the guy that was showing everyone of what was going on, and this Venezuelan person came out, and he was proud of what he was talking about. He was from a militant Venezuelan army. Okay.
Wow.
And he was showing pictures on his cell phone to the guy that was talking about this problem of him carrying a gun, and I don't know what kind of it may have been an AK-47 or something like that. But he was showing pictures of him being in a militant from Venezuela.
Wow.
So those are the types of people that are coming into our country.
Right.
They're not being vetted at all. So we don't know anything about them, and it could be, a lot of times when I watch the videos of the people that are coming across, I don't see too many women and children. I don't see many of them.
Wow.
I see a lot of militants, a lot of potential militants.
So speaking of that, related to that, I read on the headlines that scrolled on on the bottom of Telegram, it said Ilhan Omar calls, okay, they want her deported, expulsion, taken out for expulsion. She said her loyalty is to Somalia. You can't have her in the automatic expulsion out of Congress or wherever she is. So
Yeah, she
that's
does not
when,
need to be. She does not need to
no,
be
no.
holding any kind of office. No.
Remember when she went on that rant about what was going on in Israel and everything,
Yeah.
and calling them terrorists? You don't need her. You and I would have been kicked out, right?
Right. Yeah.
In Somalia, I think Obama set that up. Somalians are in Minneapolis, where she came from, and then there's a lot of them in Columbus, Ohio. If you go through parts of Columbus, you think you're in Africa. We went there like a few months ago. I was like, what? So anyway, but they're here. They're not violent or anything. It's just they're part of the community now. But it's like this, but the people decided. Not everybody's going to agree with it, but when you pay the government and the leaders to back off on it.
I think we're in unknown territory, to be honest with you, Arthur. I don't think America has been in the position that it's in ever. I realize there have been a lot of botched elections in the past and a lot of bad stuff going on.
You can't say that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Conspiracy theory.
Excuse me. Did I use the word be botched? Okay. Well, but we have never had the types of people that are coming into this country on the scale that they are. It's an unknown territory, and we don't know how it's going to turn out. And most of them, when you ask them, and what I've seen is that when you ask them why they're coming to America, they're coming here for jobs, of which we're getting rid of. We're doing away with these because AI is taking a lot of them that they would be more or less to be, prone to take. So where that leaves them, and then, they have Somalian gangs here already.
Really?
Yes, they already have Somalian gangs here. It's just a matter of time before it reaches the rural areas. I don't see a doubt in my mind about that. It's just, the way that they're trying to defund every type of organization, don't play around, that don't play with, that don't see things the way they do. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is. It
cancel culture. The cancel culture is, if you say anything wrong, they're going to just take this and take that away from you. If you do anything out of order, or it doesn't meet their,
And you're talking about the FBI too.
Yeah, the FBI as well. Yeah,
they're doing that too.
And Central Intelligence as well.
Yeah. So those agencies, do we need an FBI? Do we really need a national police? I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean,
so
we can allocate something to to somewhere else.
So I had I won't say that. I had a guest in the past, no names.
Yeah.
They said they had FBI agents go places just to get rid of cases, just to get rid of things. Yeah. So, and I can see that now. You can see it to this day with Hunter and other things. Investigations that never happened. Mm-hmm. They stonewall, and this is what they do because somebody in power wants it done. I mean, they're pretty much like somebody unleashes the dogs on people or whoever they want, just like Fannie Willis. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that case? Just curious.
It's a case that I didn't give much mind to. I kind of tried to say, the ones that I've been really putting my finger on are the public cases. Not that Fannie Willis wasn't public, but
right.
The worst case that I can think of right now is what they're doing to Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
And the way that they're using the judicial system against him because they
Yes.
just don't want him in power anymore. You know,
Yeah, you know, yeah, exactly.
it's
So, yeah,
it's case it's like that you know, it's cases like that that you got to look and you got to shake your head wondering, you know, uh it can't be that bad. He can't be that. They've been on him for 8 years, Arthur,
right. Yes.
and they have tried to pin something on him for 8 years and they still haven't done it, not successfully. There's nothing
Right.
that, you know, and then the Supreme Court wants to keep him off of the ballot, you know, the ones in Colorado and the ones in
Yeah.
Maine. And it's like they say, well, he was the main conspirator to start the January 6th riot and all that kind of stuff. He was, listen to me, he was not charged with anything,
Right. Exactly.
nothing. So there's nothing that the Supreme Court can use that abides by the Constitution. I'm saying
Yeah.
that abides by the Constitution of the United States. There's nothing that they can use that would keep him off the ballot, but yet they do it anyway. This is what's
Yes.
mind blowing to me. It's very mind blowing to me because it's like they just reject any kind of laws and they just do what they want to do anyway.
Exactly. I
It's
agree.
like-
It happens. Yeah, it happens on. If you hate somebody, there's a lot of pressure, I guess, on some people to do this.
and
It's
the
going
people
to
around
avalanche
him,
to other places. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the people around him get charged with this and charged with that.
Yes. And all those are dropped now in the Fannie Willis case. So
Yeah.
none of them stand. But yeah,
The Fannie Lewis case, that's what that was a what do you call it? It wasn't a legal. It was a personal case. Yeah, she said something that he didn't do. Is that
right.
and
That was so. Yeah, that was also. Yeah, it was. That was the other woman. I can't remember her name.
yeah, I don't remember all the women that came against him on that, but
So that one, yeah, she told the court one story, and her friends testified she told another one, but they don't want to hear anything. They're not even. So the defense is saying, "Hey, we want to put this. Nope, no, we're not going to put that in. We're not going to hear that." It's just like J6. And so for the J6,
and you know, of course,
yeah.
you know, I've been to many trials where if you're not really coherent about who's picking a jury
Yes,
and
right.
what you're looking at, I mean, you could pick a jury that's totally against you anyway.
Yes,
I mean, you could set your own self up. Sure, you get to pick, like, I don't know how many he got to pick, or I don't know who his attorney was or anything. But if you don't look at their background and know something about them, they could be somebody, they could be props that were ordered in, you know, like
yeah,
you can email or you can mail 1,000 people. Okay, you got to come into jury. We got this, that, and the other thing, and you can go through them. But if you don't know, I mean, exactly the behind the scenes, what's going on there, and how they're picking your jury and who they're mailing that stuff to come in,
yes.
then you've got issues that you're going to deal with. And I think that's what he ended up with in New York, is that he got a lot of people that were either, I don't want to say it, you know, maybe paid, or either.
You never know because we see corruption everywhere. You saw that down in Georgia, and now you see it in New York.
Mhm.
To the point of nobody's going to get a fair. You even say you can't get a fair trial in New York. Depends on who you are. Then they're talking about real estate. The valuation. Are you kidding me? There's no victim. It's so ridiculous. None of these things.
They're going to put him on the stand for that. They've got a lot of people to put on the stand, man, because I know a lot of real estate people that are overvaluing their property all the time, you know, and it's like, whether it's, you know, right or wrong, it's not illegal, you know.
Yes.
So it's
It's Eugene Carroll. That's who it is. Eugene Carroll.
Yeah.
That's the one she can't keep her story straight, and and she has other witnesses, and things aren't consistent, but it's okay. The judge doesn't care. The judge just wants to push this forward. And then for what he said, his remark, what cost $80 million in damages? Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. She'll never get it.
You know,
but
that's got to be appealed. There's just no doubt about it. There's got to be some sort of an appellate court that can look at that, and just there's so many holes in that case, man. I didn't for a reason I didn't like follow it,
yeah,
you know,
right.
because it gets to me to the point where you just want to scream. And I don't really want that right now, you know. I don't want to be in that mindset or anything. So I'd rather wait until they got over with, and then I'll just kind of fluff through it and see what happened, because I know the end result, it doesn't matter what the end result is. It's going to be changed. Some way,
it will. Yeah.
somehow. It's even with the Hunter Biden case, you know, like they're going to convict him on something before Biden goes out of office. And the only reason that they would rush forward and do that is so that Biden, before he leaves office, will pardon him.
Yes. Right.
So, you know, there's his way out, you know, so they can throw the FBI and all that, and the DOJ can throw all these charges at him, all they want. Doesn't matter. And then convict him. Doesn't matter. It don't. Because before his dad leaves office in January of 2025, if Biden is in jail, his father will pardon him, and he will.
Yeah. So yeah, there's really nothing they can do.
There's nothing they can do.
So yeah. So, but his paintings are very valuable. I understand. So. Oh well.
Yeah, that's
From oil tycoon to a Renoir, you know, that'd be a good book to write, right?
Yeah.
But you can say the same thing about Trump has made some terrible mistakes, terrible picks. You know,
he has.
That.
Yep.
People turn against him. Why would you put Bob Barr in there unless he's part of the deep state?
Yeah, he was part. You know, he was part of the deep state.
You know, he was. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
he was a prop.
Yeah, right. So you gotta everything's gotta go one by one. You gotta vet things little by little. What's he doing? What's Kushner doing in there? What's going on over here with his other projects? And everything he has going on. Mm-hmm. The wall was there, but people were coming through. And he built the wall like late kind of thing. Yeah. So what's really happening? I don't know. There's a lot of money down there. There's a lot of money changing hands. And you got yeah.
Well, I totally agree with Texas, you know.
Yes, I do too.
I don't, the federal government has no jurisdiction down there at all.
Exactly.
And if they
go
down
there.
We're
take our guard away. You can't. So now they made them, what was it? Did they make them instead of the National Guard, they made them the State Guard? So they can't touch them?
Yeah.
So the National is the linchpin to get the guard to take it away.
The governor of Texas is actually the chief and commander in his state, in his country, I'll say, of the National Guard. And the governor can use the National Guard any way he sees fit to keep his state from being overrun.
Exactly. And the federal government can only do it in times of emergency. And they can't declare an emergency. They cannot declare an emergency because they'll admit that this is emergency.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I mean, the federal government has very little powers, and a lot of people don't know that, but they think that the government is the strongest entity, and the IRS is the strongest entity on the planet, and they're not. They're actually one of the weakest, and they can carry guns, and they can carry bazookas if they want to. Right. But once you get into that line of sight, where you start asking yourself the questions, where does the authority come from? You'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Where does the authority for them to come and do that come from? It's like CPS when they come to take your child. They don't have the authority to do that, but yet they'll send a police officer out there to assist.
Yes.
And they don't have the authority to come out and take your child. You know, and I mean, a lot of people can, especially over a rumor.
Right.
It depends. It really, when you nail it, when you really boil it down, it comes down to, Was it a rumor? Was it somebody that just called in and said this?
Yeah.
It boils down to really the brass taxes of what the case is all about. But when it comes down to it, they do not have the right to come out and take your child. I'm sorry, they just don't. You know,
Wow. This is,
because where you ask yourself, where does CPS get the authority to come out and take your child?
CPS.
It's CPS.
Right.
I mean, yeah, CPS. That's it.
Yes, exactly. It has no basis for anything.
There is no basis for anything. No, it's not
I
even
think
close.
thanks for pointing that out, because we're losing. I mean, the basis of our rights are not what we think they are. And the government's trying to say, hey, just like your schools and everything, you don't have any right to tell what your kids can learn, but that's not true. It's about the parents first. And they got that twisted. We're going to teach them pornography. We're going to teach them
homosexuality.
Yes.
We're going to teach them all this kind of stuff that, we're going to indoctrinate them from, 5, maybe when they start school, 6 years old.
Yes.
Around 6
That's
is
what
when they
we're doing.
start school. Yeah. And let me give you a parallel. Let me give you a parallel to that. China, in their school system, is teaching their children about how to put a weapon together, about how to load a 9mm, how to break down a rifle within record speed. And they're doing this to their children. So, and what we're teaching them over here is totally the opposite. We're teaching them how to, well, for the sake of using words, we're not teaching them the right things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should teach them how to break down a rifle. I'm not saying that it wouldn't hurt, but I'm not saying that it wouldn't, that it's right. But if you want to teach our child something, teach them about finances, teach them about buying a house, teach them about prospering, something that's they're going to prosper with later on in life. Because I didn't learn anything in school that I couldn't have learned on my own.
Right. That's true. True.
I mean, I really didn't. It's just the way it is. They didn't teach me anything about losing a house or losing a business or anything like that. I learned that on my own. Same
here. The practical things and the things that for your success, they didn't really teach. Yeah.
No, they didn't. No, they basically, I'll say they're pretty much indoctrinated us to be a good employee, to be on time, because when you hear that bell ring, you got to be there, you got to be in your seat.
Right.
You don't want to be the last one in the door.
Right.
Or you have to stay after class. You'll need to stay after class and learn how to be on time. It's I get it. You got to be on time.
What's your punishment? There's a punishment for that.
That's right.
Meanwhile, the kids' parents are paying for this, right? Yeah. And then they're telling the kids, how do you think? I know the math. They taught me the math. They taught me the reading. They didn't tell me what to do with it.
Right. Exactly. And then in some cases, they didn't even teach you how to read the languages. Even though we speak English together, sometimes we don't understand each other. Because of the language that we use from the parts of the world that we're from, or the parts of the United States that we're from.
Yes.
We may misunderstand something. You may say something and I may take it the wrong way. So that's why, things have to be slowed down a little bit so that we can totally understand each other and we know what each other are talking about. And it's like legalese as well as legalese. If you read something that's legal, a lot of times you'll make a lot of mistakes reading it, because you'll take the 16th Amendment or something and you'll read that and you'll say, well, you're supposed to pay taxes. It says so in the Constitution. Okay, then tell me why the IRS has never used that in a case. They've never used that when they've gone against somebody that hasn't paid taxes. They don't use the 16th Amendment. There's a reason for that.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Rebel Hayes, fantastic show. Thanks. You have a lot of insight.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I got my notes. Okay.
All right.
When you're good, I write notes down. And you are fantastic. So I'd like to have you on again. Anytime you want to come on, let me know. I'll make
Yeah,
room for you.
I enjoyed it. Anytime. Hey, we'll get something brewed up here in the next few weeks and be back on.
So what, do you have anything you want to leave with the audience
I just want the audience to know that it's going to get better.
Mhm.
I don't want people to like take a lot at stride, this bad information of everybody coming over and stuff like that. I just want them to know that there's hope. There's hope.
Yeah. There's a big dog in your
Hey,
presence.
Yeah, he's wondering what's going on.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then there's Jesus Christ. He'll help you too.
Amen.
Form that relationship with him, and just stay on a path, and don't alter off of it. That's the
That's
best.
awesome.
That's all I know to say.
That is so amazing.
Don't let nothing stop you. Don't let nothing stop you. Don't let nothing get in your way, and build that relationship with Christ, and He will direct you in the right direction.
Amen. Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That was Robo Hayes. Fantastic guest and a lot of insight there. I learned a lot. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll be back next week, and this show will continue. And probably not on, maybe on the 14th I might be on. I'll see. Anyway, thanks a lot. Have a good night. God bless America. God bless the USA. And God bless.